In the year 1692, the quiet farming village of Salem, Massachusetts, became the stage for one of the most infamous tragedies in American history, the Salem Witch Trials. What began as strange fits in a handful of young girls would soon grow into a wildfire of fear, suspicion, and accusations. By the time it was over, 200 people had been accused of practicing witchcraft, 30 were found guilty, and 20 innocent men and women were executed. But the story of Salem is more than just a tale of superstition. It's about religion, politics, jealousy, greed, and the dangers of mass hysteria. To understand why Salem spiraled into chaos, we must step back in time and look at the world of the Puritans. The Puritans were not casual Christians. They believed in a strict, God-fearing lifestyle where sin lurked in every shadow. Dancing, singing, or even showing too much joy could be condemned as worldly vanity. Life revolved around work, prayer, and community surveillance, neighbors constantly watching each other for any sign of ungodliness. The Puritans also believed deeply in the supernatural. To them, the devil was not a symbol. He was real, prowling New England, seeking souls to corrupt. Misfortune was never random. If crops failed, livestock died, or a child became sick, it was often believed to be the work of witches in league with Satan. This worldview set the stage for Salem. The people were already primed to see the devil's hand in everyday life. And in 1692, events unfolded that made those fears feel terrifyingly real. It all began in the home of Reverend Samuel Parris. His 9-year-old daughter, Betty, and his niece, Abigail Williams, began experiencing strange fits. They screamed, contorted their bodies in unnatural positions, and complained of being pinched and bitten by invisible forces. Soon, other girls in the village began displaying the same symptoms. Doctors, baffled by the cause, concluded the girls must be victims of witchcraft. This diagnosis turned strange behavior into a spiritual war. The girls named their supposed tormentors. 3 women. Tituba, an enslaved woman of Caribbean origin in Reverend Parris's household. Sarah Good, a homeless beggar. And Sarah Osborne, an elderly woman who rarely attended church. These women were outsiders, easy targets for suspicion. When Tituba was questioned, she confessed under pressure. But her confession was not just an admission. It was a story that fueled hysteria. She claimed there were more witches hiding in Salem, working for the devil. This single confession planted the seed that Salem was under attack by an invisible army of witches. And the trials began. The legal process in Salem was unlike any fair trial we might imagine today. Evidence was not based on facts or physical proof. Instead, spectral evidence was allowed. If someone claimed to see your spirit in a dream or vision tormenting them, that was enough to condemn you. One by one, the accused were brought before magistrates. Some, like Sarah Good, pleaded innocence but were condemned anyway. Others confessed in hopes of saving their lives, naming additional supposed witches in the process. This only spread the hysteria further. Fear gripped Salem. If you defended the accused, you risked being accused yourself. The safest path was silence, or worse, joining the chorus of accusations. Prominent figures were soon caught in the net. Martha Corey, a respected church member, was accused. Rebecca Nurse, a grandmother in her 70s, was accused. Even Giles Corey, her elderly husband, was arrested. No one, no matter how pious, was safe. The human cost of Salem becomes clearer when we look at individual stories. Take Rebecca Nurse, known for her kindness and deep faith. When she was accused, many villagers signed petitions defending her character. But when the afflicted girls fell into fits during her trial, the court ruled against her. She was hanged on July 19, 1692. Then there was Sarah Good, poor and despised by many. Pregnant at the time of her trial, she was sentenced to hang. Her infant daughter died in prison. At the gallows, she famously declared to the judge, "You are a liar. I am no more a witch than you are a wizard. And if you take my life, God will give you blood to drink." Perhaps the most brutal case was that of Giles Corey. Refusing to enter a plea, he was pressed to death with heavy stones. His last words, according to legend, were simply, "More wait." Each story reveals not just tragedy, but the cruel absurdity of the trials. As accusations grew, so did paranoia. Children accused parents, servants accused masters, and neighbors settled old grudges by branding each other as witches. By mid-1692, over 100 people were in jail. The village was consumed by fear. Farms were abandoned, and trade collapsed. The very fabric of Salem's society was unraveling. The government stepped in, forming a special court called the Court of Oyer and Terminer. It was here that the majority of the trials were conducted, and where the bulk of the executions were ordered. What began as the claims of a few young girls had now engulfed an entire colony. By late summer, doubts began to emerge. The sheer number of accusations raised suspicions. Could so many people truly be witches? Prominent ministers, including Cotton Mather, urged caution. Even Increase Mather, a respected Puritan leader, declared, "It were better that 10 suspected witches should escape than that one innocent person should be condemned." When the governor's own wife was accused, the court finally began to reconsider its methods. Spectral evidence was banned. Without it, the accusations crumbled. By May of 1693, the governor pardoned those still in jail. The witch trials were over. But the damage was irreversible. 19 people had been hanged. One man had been pressed to death. Several others died in jail awaiting trial. Families were left broken, reputations destroyed. In the years that followed, the colony publicly acknowledged the injustice. Judges and jurors expressed regret. Families of the victims were compensated financially, though no amount of money could undo the suffering. The Salem Witch Trials became a lasting stain on the history of New England. The story of Salem continues to echo through time. It has been studied by historians, retold in literature, and dramatized on stage and screen. Arthur Miller's famous play The Crucible, written in the 1950s, used Salem as an allegory for the Red Scare and the dangers of political persecution. Today, the trials serve as a cautionary tale. They remind us of the dangers of fear, the corruption of justice, and the ease with which hysteria can overwhelm reason. From McCarthyism to modern conspiracy theories, the lessons of Salem remain painfully relevant. The Salem Witch Trials show us that truth can be twisted, justice can fail, and ordinary people can commit extraordinary injustice when consumed by fear. But they also remind us of resilience, that even in darkness, truth eventually emerges. The Salem Witch Trials lasted only a year, but their legacy has lasted for centuries. They stand as one of the most haunting warnings in American history. That hysteria, prejudice, and blind fear can destroy lives. As we remember the 20 innocent souls who perished, we must also remember the lesson they left behind, that justice must always rise above fear, and truth must always be stronger than hysteria.